Alright, TG Stun Deck. Probably the best way to play with TG Striker outside of just using him generically in a synchro build. So anyway, we have triple Beast King Barbaros, triple Hazy Flame Cerebrus, triple TG Rush Rhino, triple TG Warwolf, double TG Striker, triple Upstart Goblin, triple Warrior Return Alive, triple Pot of Duality, triple MST, double Forbidden Lance, triple Horn of the Phantom Beast, double Deep Prison, double TGIMI, one Compulse, triple Skill Drain, and one Dark Bribe. And for the extra deck, we have one TG Blade Blaster, one Scrap Dragon, one Colossal Fighter, one Gaia Knight, one Naturon Barkuron, one TG Hyper Librarian, TG Power Gladiator, Ally of Justice, TG Wonder Magician, one M7, one Bronzer, one Gem Knight, one Symphony de Jin, one Golem of Destruction, and one Wind-Up Zenmite. Alright, so this deck pretty much revolves around using the TG monsters effects in the grave while locking out your opponent with Skill Drain, with cards that benefit from having their effects negated, like Beast King and Hazy Flame. And yeah, so anyways, the reason you have triple Upstart and triple Pot of Duality is to thin your deck out to draw out Skill Drain, because you want Skill Drain out in the field as fast as possible. And this deck is pretty much essentially a beatdown, so the life points aren't really a problem. And because of that, you can actually run Soul Taker pretty... yeah, you can run Soul Taker in this deck too if you wanted to, but that's increasing your life points by a little bit too much. But that's fine, because it's a beatdown deck anyway. So anyways, you want to add Skill Drain to your hand as fast as possible to use it, and you actually just want to keep it alive. Dark Bribe is in here for the sole purpose of negating one MST. Otherwise, you're just going to have to try to get out Skill Drain another way. But this deck doesn't solely rely on Skill Drain to win. Basically, you only need to use Skill Drain's effect once to get out, to reset Beast King's effect. And then you're set. But that's not the whole thing. It's a stun deck, so you want to stop your opponent from using effects too. So Skill Drain, you do want to keep it alive, but it's not really a problem if it is destroyed, because these cards do have good effects on their own. Now, Hazy Flame Beast, if his effect is active, he can't be targeted for effects. So Deep Prison doesn't affect him, so he can attack with impunity. So if you reset his attack, because he can be normal summoned without, tributes, but his effect is 1,000, kind of like Beast King. And if you use Skill Drain, his effect will go back up to 2,000, and if they like MST or Skill Drain, then he's unaffected by spells. He can't be targeted for effects, which is great. So no Compulse, no Forbidden Lance, nothing. He can't be targeted by effects from your opponent. You can still target him. And his effect activates in the grave, like the TG monsters, where you can add another Hazy Flame to your hand. And that's why he's in here, because not only does he have a good effect when he's out on the field, but he can also search out another version of himself if he's destroyed. Beast King is here because he is an incredible beat stick, who does have a pretty good effect if you can get it off, tribute 2 monsters, but I don't think that will ever happen in this kind of deck. And because he's a Beast Warrior, and he's Beast, and he's Beast, and he's Beast Warrior, in fact the only card in here that's not Beast is TG Striker, you can run Horn of the Phantom Beast. Increases the attack by 800, and if they destroy a monster by battle, you get to draw a card, which is an amazing effect, and that's pretty much why you run a whole bunch of Beasts and Beast Warriors. You may notice the triple Return Alive. That was something I was trying out, because you get to get out TG Striker and use him for a whole bunch of synchro plays. But since this deck is really all about using Beast and powering him up with Phantom Beast, that doesn't really ever work out well for me. They always get destroyed. My opponent, whenever they see a powered up Beast King Barbaros, do everything in their power to stop him. So keep on recycling TG Striker's effect. It has been working out very well for me. But it is entirely possible to play this deck without any Warrior Return Alive. In fact, I don't think any other person I've ever seen who makes a TG stun deck uses it. So you can just sub it in, for like Fiendish Chain, Torrential, Bottomless, because you can play as much trap cards as you want in this deck. I use these as personal preference. And, TGEMI. What is it? TGIEMI. This card is amazing in this deck. It's so good in TG decks. Like, you can't play this deck without this card. This is one of the bread and butter cards of the deck. Because another reason you could use Warrior Return Alive to keep recycling TG Strikers for this card, because you pretty much, it's like a creature swap where you get to choose your opponent's monster, but you can use it on your opponent's turn. So if your opponent's going to go for like a Synchro or an XYZ play, you can give them one of your TG monsters instead and completely screw over their strategy. And if you destroy your own TG monster, their effect still activates in the grave, so you gain their effect. And this card is really good for stealing your opponent's strong monsters or just screwing over their plays on their turn. Forbidden Lance is great for protecting your monsters. I tried Forbidden Chalice too, but I could never get it to work for me. It always ends up being a frivolous play that I don't need, and Forbidden Lance actually saves my ass so many times. MST, you probably don't need 3, but I like to run 3. What is it? D-Prison, these are just all staple traps. Well, Compulse and D-Prison at least. You can switch those out for anything else you want, but those are pretty good. And let's see, the extra deck list. TG Blade Master, because you can easily go for rank 5, level 5 synchro monsters with TG Striker and TG Warwolf. So you can go for TG Wonder Magician plus another level 5 monster. More specifically, TG Power Gladiator or Hyper Librarian, and then synchro in for this guy because he has really high attack. And if there's no skill drain out, his effect is actually pretty good. Let's see, and then level 6 because Striker plus TG Rush Rhino equals Naturion Barkaron, which is a great card because you get to pretty much stop your opponent's traps from affecting you. Or Gaia Knight if you have skill drain out, because he's the highest attack monster you can go for. That's level 6. Colossal Fighter, because if you have skill drain out, he's a great level 8 monster we can bring out with TG Striker and Hazy Flame. And when he's destroyed, you can special summon a TG Striker from your graveyard. Or Scrap Dragon if skill drain's not out on the field. You can also put in Crimson Blader if you want, which is probably a good idea. In that case, you can just probably take out Ally of Justice, or maybe even wind up Zenmite, or TG Blade Master. I personally don't like to rely on Crimson Blader's effect because you have to actually get a successful attack. And then M7 and Photon Bronzer, because not only do they have great effects, they also have really high attack for rank 6 monsters. So Hazy Flame Beast just goes into these two. Gemini Pearl, because he's the highest rank 4 attack monster. And Symphony de Jin, because he's the best rank 4 XYZ monster if you're going to go, with no skill drain on the field. If skill drain is on the field, you throw out Gemini. As for the rank 3 monsters, we have Golem of Destruction and Wind Up Zenmite, because TG Warwolf can special summon himself out off of a TG Warwolf's effect. So if you want, you can run in 2 Tenkais instead of Warrior Return Alive. This card isn't needed. And you can probably special summon out 2 Warwolves easily with a 1 TG Striker special summon. Then go for a Zenmite if you don't have skill drain on the field. Well, even if you do have skill drain on the field, you can still use Zenmite's effect to prevent destruction, but you just won't activate his effect where he destroys the card at the end phase. Or Golem of Destruction, because he's a huge ass beatstick monster, which is great for skill drain. And yeah, that's it.